Good evening, everyone. It has been a whirlwind of a past week, 2 weeks surrounding all the drama between Cole Beasley and the Bills vaccination, COVID vaccination, if you want to call it that. And I got my man Travis in the house with me today, and we are going to discuss all the latest developments. Could he really retire, Trav? It has been a whirlwind.
Possibly, we'll see.
We'll be right back after this waiting screen. Trav, we got a lot to talk about. It's been a crazy couple weeks here as a lot of people have been bantering back and forth whether or not Bill's Cole Beasley is right or wrong with his stance on the vaccination. And it's going to be an interesting show for some fact that I know not only myself, but you as well, try to weigh both sides of this puzzle, if you want to call it that. And this is some heavy stuff, man.
Yeah, it's definitely taken hold on the social media as everything has the past year and a half. So, I mean, let's break it down, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to talk about this because for me, I'm on both sides of the spectrum. I understand that there's a movement saying, hey, this is his body, his choice, and I'm okay with that. But then I also understand that side, hey, this is a business, this is your employment, and we have differing opinions, not only from the NFL, not only from, I think, Bill's management, coaching staff, but also the NFLPA, who's the union for the players. So at what point and which side do you stand on is going to be the question for a lot of people. And a lot of fans are going to put stats wins in the forefront. Where a lot of other people are going to say, hey, this is this man's health. This is his life. He has a life to live if he's unsure. Well, I mean, let's hop into it. What was your take on Cole Beasley's PSA? Because that's where we're going to start at. Because this is where this thing got started, was his PSA and his tweets.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of where you fall, I think there's got to be a level of respect that everyone needs to have for him, because whether or not this is being, forced on players or not, they're being given an ultimatum where it's like, you either take it or we are drastically going to treat you differently. You are literally, it's segregation at that point. You can only be in a gym if there's 15, or be in the workout room if there's 15 players or less. You got to wear your mask. You can't eat lunch. You can't go out. And I'm sure we'll get into it later about what you can and can't do. For the fact that this guy knows that he's going to get hit with a lot of heat, for him to come out and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I believe in. And it's my right. I don't want to, I'm sure he doesn't want to let down fans. I'm sure he doesn't want to upset people. But like you said, this is his life and this is his livelihood, regardless of his employment. And there's many people across the country that have been faced with this, where they may not necessarily believe in taking the jab, and they've gone and looked for other employment. So I'm right with you where there's two avenues. You know, you're dealing with a company that you don't need to work for. You're not being forced to do it. And then you're also dealing with a person's personal preference.
I like the way you broke that down, where it is a choice to work for this company. You're right. You're not forced to play NFL, but this is his career, just like the rest of us. Even though his career is an $8 million a year career, it's still his job. And nobody wants to lose their job. No one wants to be forced out of their job before they're ready. And when he mentioned the fact that, hey, I can retire, and I'm going to pull up and read his PSA for those who have not seen it. I'm pretty sure the world have seen it because it made CNN. So whether you're a Bills fan, you're not a Bills fan, you're a football fan, you're not a football fan, you've had to see this. And I'm going to read this off today. So Cole Beasley put this PSA out of tweets on Twitter, and this is what he had to say. Look, I'm going to live my life, one life like I want to regardless. I'm Cole Beasley, and I'm not vaccinated. I will be outside doing what I do. I'll be out in the public. If you're scared of me, then steer clear or get vaccinated, point blank, period. I may die of COVID, but I'd rather die actually living. I have family members whose days are numbered. And if they want to come see me and stay at my house, then they are coming regardless of protocol. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit towards the end of this. That is my choice based on my experience and what I think is best. I'll play for free this year to live life how I lived it one day at a time. I'm not going to go all through it, but you guys get the gist of what he was saying there. That, hey, I'm not getting vaccinated and I'm going to do what I want to do. But there's a big problem with that. And the huge problem with that is that the NFL and the NFLPA, and we'll get back to his NFLPA comments pretty soon, released some new protocol modifications for vaccinated and non-vaccinated individuals. And as you look at the screen, and we'll read them off. I mean, this, like you said earlier, Trevor, this is day and night. Fully vaccinated people, no daily testing period. Not vaccinated, testing every day. Fully vaccinated, masks are not required at club facility or during team travel. Not vaccinated, masks required at all times, pretty much. No physical distancing for fully vaccinated. You must remain distant from others in the club facility if you're not vaccinated. You must quarantine after high risk exposure to COVID, which can mean traveling if you're not vaccinated. Travel restrictions in effect. 15-player limit in the weight room for players that are not vaccinated. Players must be physically distanced in the meal room, may not eat with teammates. Staff must grab and go, no meals in the cafeteria. And this is a kicker right here. No social media marketing sponsorship activities permitted. So now you're touching their pockets. You may not use the sauna or steam room. And last but not least, you may not leave the team hotel to eat in restaurants. You may not interact with anyone outside the team traveling, partying, or during team travel. Wow. If that's not the Berlin Wall, then I don't know what is.
That's great. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
Thoughts on that?
So for me, I think that point is one of the most egregious things I've seen, because as we'll get into later, there's people who've been vaccinated who carry it and transmit it the same way as if you're not. So that makes all of that irrelevant. I mean, to me, that is just basically saying like, hey, you don't need to get it, but we're going to treat you like you're different until you're uncomfortable enough, until you cost your team enough. You know, the margin of error is small from victory and loss. So, you know, these things make a difference in the long term. So for the fact that, to me, it makes no sense, because you can still get it. You can still transmit it regardless of your vaccination status. If I'm the NFL, if I want people to get vaccinated, just straight up and say, hey, if you want to play ball, get vaccinated or you can't play. do not do this, because this is the slippery slope where, you know, when you start crunching the numbers, when it comes to who has it, who's transmitting, it doesn't make any sense. So, you know, don't have one foot on one line, one foot on the other. If you want your, you know, I respect the NFL if they would say, hey, this is what, you know, it's like the drug rules, zero tolerance. There's no like, oh, you know, if, and, you know, remember the whole Dwight Freeney thing a couple years ago where it's like they didn't care about that, and he clearly wasn't trying to get ahead with that. So, you know, I think that is the most egregious part of it.
So it seems to me that the NFL will say, hey, you know, it is a personal choice. You don't have to get vaccinated. We're with you if you don't want to, but hey, by the way, if you don't, yeah, you can't even. It's like you're the kid in the classroom who nobody likes, and you have to sit at a table across because you have a peanut allergy. That ain't cool. That's not cool at all. And then to say you can't have any social media activities, that means in a nutshell, yeah, you can't go shoot commercials, you can't go do promos. You can't do autograph signings. And we know this is things that players make money off of. I disagree with that. Now, so then what happens if he does do it? How much you gonna fine him? Because I don't think any of this was written in the collective bargaining agreement.
No. This is just drafted on the fly. I mean, it's like, I really believe that they wrote these protocols up and just expected everyone to fall in line. And, you know, speaking to some players, there's a lot of guys out there that are not. They're not, you know, they straight up call out the NFL and to say, hey, we know, you know, we're not going to do this. So let's see, you know, who balks first.
So he also fired off some tweets the other week, and it's almost a coincidence or funny that they came out with this new log of rules after this whole Cole Beasley saga, or after the saga began. And if you really want to be honest, as far as here in Buffalo or nationally, the saga really started with Josh Allen. When he said he wasn't vaccinated, and everybody said, oh, you know, Josh Allen isn't vaccinated. And somehow we've kind of went away from Josh not being vaccinated to Cole Beasley either being a hero to your rights or a villain to your feelings, essentially. I want to talk about his tweets about the NFLPA, and then we're going to talk a little bit about DeMaurice Smith. And is the NFLPA wrong for not backing him? Or are they right? I mean, we definitely got to talk about that. So these are 3 tweets he fired off last week. And it was, the Players Association is a joke. Call it something different. It's not for the players. Everyone gives me the 98% of people who are vaccinated don't get COVID again. The odds of me getting in the NFL and playing for 10 years are lower than that, and I'm here. So what are we really talking about? I understand completely why the NFL is doing this. It gives them back the freedom to make the most money as possible again if everyone is vaccinated. But will anyone fight for the players or not? And his last tweet was, that's all. I don't know who I need to talk to, but someone has to get it right. That's why I'm on here. Hopefully the right people will see it and at least think about how all this NFLPA stuff works. It needs to be changed. Now, we know every collective bargaining agreement we hear clamor from the players about the NFLPA. Some agree, some don't, but we've never really heard too many people like take shots publicly at their union like this. Good move or bad move by Beasley, and how much heat should the NFLPA and DeMaurice Smith, the PA president, have?
You know, it's with the PA what bothers me is they're supposed to represent the individual. You know, like, yes, they're a group of players, they're a group of workers first and foremost, but you got to represent everybody under there. And it just seems like they didn't check the temperature of the players. They didn't inquire about, you know, who is, maybe they had the numbers, who's vaccinated, who's not. But clearly, I think if they even asked around, they would have gotten some pushback. So as an organization, a union that's supposed to represent their workers, I don't think they're doing a good job at all. I mean, they've they've shut down seasons over not being able to pass a collective bargaining agreement, and it didn't even seem like this was even discussed. This was signed, sealed, delivered. It probably was already in the works prior to it being released. So, I totally understand what Cole Beasley is coming from in this case. It's sad because he's tweeting with emotion, and people are going to pick that apart. But if you break down what he's actually talking about, it makes complete sense where he's not feeling represented by this group that's supposed to be representing him.
I totally understand, and I get it. And once again, we go back to the point of this is a business, and we know that as much as we want to say that the players make the money and you can't play the games without the players, well, there's a other side of it, and I think the other side weighs a little bit heavier. And the other side is the owners actually pay billions of dollars for these teams now. And the players, maybe they could do something. I mean, Cole Beasley's a hell of a rapper. So maybe he could make $8 million rapping, but we know for sure it'd be a lot tougher to make the money that they make doing something else possibly. Obviously you have to make the money to even invest in things to make that type of money a lot of times. So with the NFL being a business, yes, they could come out and just say, hey, everybody has to be vaccinated. It's their right to do that technically. Because I believe so. I don't believe they could be sued. I do believe that's in their realm of possibilities to do that. And I think they're leaving it as an option. But once you read off those unvaccinated protocols, they're not really giving you an option. That's passive aggressive, extremely passive aggressive.
100%.
As I said before, and I'll state it again, they're attacking three things. They're attacking your freedom to move around the facilities. They're attacking your freedom to actually be integrated with your teammates, and they're attacking your money. And actually, attacking the fourth thing, the ability to be around friends and family and do things and actually live life. So pretty much, if you're unvaccinated, you're going to live just like you had to live in the 2019 season. 2020 season. You're going to have to live just like that. And we know how hard that was mentally on a lot of these players across the league. It was tough.
Yeah, and if it was indefinitely, like if it was like you get the vaccine, this happens, you don't get it, this happens. If it was cut and dry, maybe it would make more sense. But the fact that we're still, it's all up in the air. There's really half truths everywhere. So for the fact that clearly reality is different, we're all out and about. I don't see masks as much. You still get some people who are wearing them. You still see it, but clearly life is different. Things are in a much better situation than it was a year to the date. But like you said, you're going to treat these guys as if they were living under that same umbrella. And then what really bothers me is you and me, when we go to the game, it doesn't matter if we're vaccinated. It doesn't matter. They don't care. And the fact that they're going to let nobody's in at full capacity and they don't care, but they're pushing this on their players, that's another red flag for me.
Well, yeah, somebody said in the chat, I believe it was Joshua Torres here. Money is king. Vaccination equals money. This is a scary time to live. He's absolutely right. Money is king. And that's to your point. Yes, this is why they're going to let everybody into the stadiums. And they're telling players, well, we let everybody in, but you have to be careful. Doesn't matter if 60,000 people are sitting shoulder to shoulder, but you
spitting, drinking, eating.
Right. And we know how Bill's Mafia is. Yeah. 3 or 4 drinks and you're going to forget all about any type of protocols or safety. Let's just be honest about it.
Yes.
No one's going to be thinking about safety protocols and hammer a lot.
No way.
Week 1, man. No way. So I want to play a little bit devil advocate on the NFL side a little bit here. Money is king. I totally agree with that statement. I think what the NFL was saying, listen, we just saw the salary cap drop heavily. We're supposed to be at 220 this year, and we're at what? We're at 190 or 198. It's around there. We're supposed
they have to borrow money. They had essentially had to borrow money from themselves to make it work.
Right. They're saying we're not having games on 5 p.m. on Mondays. We're not having a game on Tuesdays. We're not going to have extra games on Thursdays and Saturdays. Be shifting everything around, shifting weeks, canceling games, postponing them, moving around. Certain teams playing 3 games in 17 days. We're not doing that. We're paying you guys a lot of money. We're not doing that this year because they're saying if we have another year where we have to cancel out fans coming, it's going to hurt the league tremendously. And I have to agree.
It's gonna hurt the players too, because you saw their contracts. There's a big difference.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, so when we talk about Cole Beasley, Cole Beasley is going to year 10. He's had 10 years of NFL money. There's going to be some kid that's in college right now going into his freshman year, just trying to find his dorm room right now, that if they have to cancel out fans again at some point, that kid is not going to have the same opportunity possibly to make the money that Cole Beasley had, the opportunity, not that he made it, the opportunity to make in his first 5 years. And I think that's the NFL stance on this. I think You're that right. I can't, when you look at that way, I can't disagree because like you said, long term, if you don't do it this way, you are going to hurt the league. Those quarterback contracts, they're going to go up from 9 to 10% of your salary cap to ballooning to 18 to 20% of your salary cap. And TFC released a stat a long time ago. Any team that had one player that equals to 12% of more of a team's cap has never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. You can't lie with those analytics. I mean, point blank, man.
No. It's realistic. I mean, is the NFL wrong on that sense to you?
No. I mean, listen, I'm a red-blooded capitalist as they come. I'm all. It's weird because as a person, like I'm all for what Cole Beasley's doing and having that right, whether you want to or not. I don't care. It's you. I've already determined. I've assumed the risk, and I'm okay with it. But for the NFL, the same token, like I'm fine with them doing, understanding that, guys, if you want this product, if you want a place to work for the players, if you want a product to watch as a fan, this is the way it's got to be. Because with these big, people get mad at corporations and money. They are pinching pennies as well. It's just a whole lot more than what we're used to. They're foreseeing. They're forecasting their projections years and years in advance. So these things have to come together and having all the fans in the stands, not, doing a Tuesday 5 o'clock. You're 100% right. And even to take it a step further, if they were to say, hey, even these rules that I think are ridiculous that are in place, they have every right to do so. But we live in the age of cancel culture. If you don't like it, you're going to feel it from your fans. It's just the way it is. So it's like, there's a line for everybody where, you vote with your wallet. So they're going to be walking this slippery slope. I firmly believe that whoever the Erie County executive or whatever, when he was saying, mass mandates and everybody lost their shit, excuse my language, that was like they were floating that out there to see, to gauge the reactions.
No, I agree. I want to go back to the NFLPA. And when we start talking about money, right? And you just said that you felt like the NFLPA is there to protect the players. The NFLPA just got put into a real pickle because now I'm just thinking about what you just said as far as, and we talked about the money scenario and how the league works and the salary cap. The NFLPA's job is to put their players in the best position long term. Part of being in the best position long term is making more money.
Yeah.
DeMaurice Smith is in a tough spot because long term, this is better for players leaving the league, going into the meat and potatoes career years of the career of the league, and players that's going to come into the league in the future. I think that's the choice that was made because, like you said, you saw no pushback from them. It was Cole Beasley saying this, NFLPA is not helping, Then boom, this new scroll came out of rules, and it said, okay, NFLPA has agreed to it. That's it. I haven't heard anything from the players. I haven't heard any players on that board. I haven't heard anything. And it seems like for people who are against the unvaccinated, Cole Beasley's enemy number one. because he's everywhere. CNN. Do you think that he shot himself
He's the
in the
martyr.
foot? Yeah, he's the martyr. Yes, he's the martyr. Do you think he shot himself in the foot with his public comments?
I mean, it depends. I mean, if he really means what he says, that he'll walk away, no, because I think he's totally fine with that. And like I said, I got a lot of respect for the simple fact that, not that I agree with it, I mean I do, but he's got some moral fiber. He says, listen, there's some things bigger than, kowtowing to my employer. And yeah, he shot himself in the foot. Yeah, because like you said, not many people are coming out and supporting player wise. I know there's guys out there. I know for a fact there's guys out there, but they may not feel comfortable opening their mouth, but maybe he is speaking for them. When you back to the NFLPA, in a world where we virtue signal everything, the fact that they didn't even say, "Oh, we're having talking relations with Cole, we're working with it," I'm just surprised they didn't even try to dress it up a little bit, saying like, "We understand his opinion," and went very, very, moderate with the situation. I'm just surprised that they didn't do that. It seems like they kind of doubled down, like you said, they rolled out that script after it happened and just said, "Nope, this is the way it is." And, if I was Cole, I'd feel slighted. But at the same time, I wouldn't trust the NFLPA to represent me either. So, I mean, I kind of expected that.
Do you think that they would have reacted, and this is talking about the NFLPA, the same way, or brushed it off, or brushed Cole Beasley off? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you think the NFLPA would have brushed Patrick Mahomes if he was making these public comments off the way it seemed they did with Cole Beasley?
Less likely, definitely less likely. I mean, this guy is the face of the NFL for the next 10 years, and Cole Beasley is an aging slot receiver, who admittedly says I could retire tomorrow. So no, of course that matters. I mean, just like you said, if money is number one, the guy making $500 million over the next 9 years, or however long his contract is, clearly there's, I don't know if it would change anything, but I definitely think that it would be handled differently if it was Patrick Mahomes.
And, it's funny because one of the things that people have not talked about is the opt-out clause this year. They ruled that, they released that the other day, and it was very quiet, but you get $350,000, I believe, for opting out, but if you have an underlying condition. If you opt out, like most players do it last year, just opt out because for safety purposes or concern, zero.
Does your contract roll over the same way it did last year?
That I don't know, and that I don't know, and that's interesting. I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, I'm gonna make a couple calls today, but I'm pretty sure it probably would. But you're not getting anything for this year.
No.
You have to have documentation to prove. It could be a family member. I mean, the NFL is making it really tough. They're saying like, dude, we're not losing any more money. We're not losing another dollar because of this pandemic.
But that's the thing is, like, if that's the case, then don't roll out these freaking rules like this. Just like, they navigated it wonderfully last year. It was amazing that they got every game in. They navigated it, and whether not trying to get too scientific, but it doesn't seem like it's all that it matters all that much to this demographic of young, healthy players. And you add on the fact that you still could contract it, you could still transmit it regardless. So it's like, if you really cared about your money and you wanted everyone to play, then why go balls to the wall with this rollout? That's what puzzles me.
And what's funny, like you just said that you can still contract it. Now, obviously, we know due to numbers, and I'm not going to be throwing out a lot of vaccination numbers. Because I don't want to give out false information. They flag you for that type of stuff now. But
of course,
Chris Paul of the Phoenix Suns and Gleyber Torres of New York Yankees, and I think there was a college baseball team too as well, all vaccinated, been vaccinated, both still contracted out. Do you think with those situations, remember, in Chris Paul, the games he was out, He was out for the first 2 games of the Western Conference Finals. God,
Yeah.
imagine in the NFL. I mean, and at least in the NBA, they have 7 games. Can you imagine that someone contracted and being out in the NFL for a wild card game or a divisional game or a conference championship game or Super Bowl being vaccinated? My God.
Yeah. I mean, it's like every week that Friday roll around, and I was just praying that we didn't see the guys on the injury report for being even in contact.
Does that give Cole Beasley more of a beef? Like, hey, listen, look what happened. They're vaccinated and they contracted it, and they're out just like I don't think anybody else would be out. Does that give him more of an argument to you, or is it like still, dude, same thing, nothing changes?
No, it gives him to me, it gives it in a like an intelligent argument for sure, but I don't think that's unfortunately, I don't believe that that's the driving factor, because that information has always been out. This is like, I'm glad you brought that to the table as far as these specific players, so you don't get flagged, because like, hey, YouTube, we're just passing on real information here. This is not hearsay. We're not guessing, but that's always been out there, because for a fact, if they said, hey, this isn't just mitigating symptoms, which is what it seems like it does, it mitigates symptoms. This kills the virus. Like if that was the case, then he would have no leg to stand on. It'd be like, hey, listen, we want our season to go. You take it, you don't, stay, go, whatever. But like you said, it gives him an argument, but the people arguing against him, they don't care about that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. And I don't think it really matters to the NFL. I think it's clearly somebody important wants that to happen. So,
I'm vaccinated. I don't mind announcing that publicly. I'm vaccinated, and the main reason I got vaccinated is because I felt that, well, it seemed for a while there that they were going to bar you from doing stuff like flying and going to places if you're unvaccinated. So I said, hey, I do want to go out and do things. I definitely want to go out and be at some of these games and be around Bills Mafia and stuff. So I got it. But then there's some people that I know like, hey, I'm not getting vaccinated. And I don't hold it against them. I don't judge them. If that's the way you feel, I'm not gonna knock you for that. And there's gonna be some people on the side of the spectrum that say, hey, this has been a health risk. We lost pretty much a year and a half of our lives, a normalcy. Everybody should be vaccinated so we can just be safe. So there's two ends. There's so many sides and so many pieces to this puzzle that I don't feel that hardly anybody's wrong. But then we have to talk about the effect of this on this team that's contending for a Super Bowl. Let's just call it for what it is. We're contending for a Super Bowl, and we've had multiple seasons now. We went into the season with very little or no distractions. So I want to break down, do you think this is a distraction? Will it be a distraction during the season? And what happens if Cole Beasley actually did retire? What does that do?
It 100% is a distraction for Sean McDermott. I've never seen that guy. So you could see the angst in him whenever they talked about it, because he is 100%. Obviously, he cares about the players and their health. No question. But he has broken down every way that this is going to affect him and his team and how they're going to prepare for the season, for each game, week in and week out. So 100% it's going to be a distraction in that aspect. Also, with Cole Beasley, feeling as if, if retiring is on the table, I don't think he's going to pull any punches. And I'm sure him and coach have a ton of respect for each other, but at the end of the day, he's going to put himself and his family above all. So one, yes, it's going to be a distraction for multitude of reasons. And what was the second part of that question you were saying?
The championship odds. What does that do? Because
without Cole Beasley, right?
Yeah. When you look at the championship odds, and this was given by Vegas, and this is just the AFC. The Bills are number 2 in the AFC championship odds. What does that do? Where do we go? Baltimore's right behind us. Cleveland's right behind us. What do we do if Cole Beasley retires or chooses not to play this season.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for Baltimore, but I feel like Cleveland is the one that's actually on our heels. I mean, with the amount of talent that the team has, they're the guys they'll be neck and neck without Beasley. I mean, it all depends on then we got to really look inward. Is Emmanuel Sanders going to be a improvement from John Brown? Is Gabe Davis going to take that next step? Is Isaiah Hodgins as good as many touted him to be after drafting him? Stevenson, the rookie, he's going to have to. It seemed like he's having a lackluster camp, but he's going to be someone who's going to have to step up. So to not have that guy who is known to be a premier slot receiver, and it seems like it's kind of like Josh's safety blanket when Stephon Diggs is doubled or what have you. I do believe it can. It's going to require a bunch of other people to step up in different ways for us to fill that void. And I sure hope we don't see that, but if we do, as Coach always says, next man up.
What happens with Josh Allen? Cole Beasley has been, before Stephon Diggs, was Allen's top target. That was his go-to guy. I mean, it wasn't just a third down thing either. That's been one of his guys. What does it do for him? I mean, it's so many questions surrounding this, and what really scares the living hell out of me. And where people say, "Oh, he's just talking." When we go back and we look at the fact that they said you can't go out with friends and family, you can't party, that means that they catch you, that's going to be a way to suspend you probably, or put you in protocol for 2 weeks. And we've already heard the idea, a rumor floating around that no paycheck money for unvaccinated players who break protocol. So essentially, they're taking your paycheck too. So why even play? And I'm not saying that Cole Beasley will do that, but when they put you in a corner like that, it's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched at all.
No way. Not especially for a guy like him. He doesn't seem like he talks on Twitter. There's times where he gets, flustered or whatnot, but I think he's a smart enough guy to know making this public, there's going to be a series of consequences, irreversible consequences. So I believe the man that if they think it's a bluff and they don't, and that there's no adjustment to this, I think he sits out. Now, is he retired for good? I don't know, but I see him as the martyr 100%. The minute he said this is a guy that is speaking for probably hundreds of players out there.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I don't know what the exact number that he's earned in his career, but it's probably over $20 million. And he said he's fine. He's already stated that. He's fine. He doesn't have to play another down of football. He's financially stable. He's financially set. And that gives people leverage. That gives people leverage to walk away from things in life that they don't want to do anymore. And unfortunately, all of us are not blessed with that leverage. I'm pretty sure a lot of us would like to walk away from our jobs tomorrow. I mean, I'm not saying I do, but I'm just saying a lot of people, but you just don't have the leverage to be able to do that. But when you do, hey, you can make that choice and be okay. We've seen it happen before with a lot of players. And the scary thing is you've been seeing a growing trend with players retiring after 6-7 years, after their pension is fully guaranteed and their health is still there. And they say, hey, I want to retire. Yeah, I'm 20, I'm 29, but I don't want to be having a bunch of surgeries when I'm older. I don't want to have brain damage. So this can go, you can throw this in that pot as well.
Yep. The Keekleys, the Patrick Willises of the world, those are smart guys. They're smart guys. I don't blame them.
Yeah. So, I think we've pretty much touched on everything here today. Before we get off, I do want to tell you guys, I want to keep reminding you guys that this Give 716 Day is coming. Other day I had Melissa Roberts and Rich Dreller from the Bills and the Sabres on. And on Give 716 Day, what they're going to be doing is at 7:16 on July 15th, they're going to be opening a link at give716.com to raise funds for a list. It's right now it's 235, and the list is still growing because it's open to July 2nd to register. They're going to try to raise $1 million within 28 hours to give to small businesses, nonprofits, and charities for a lot of these groups of businesses that missed out this year. So make sure you guys stay tuned. I'm going to announce it every time we're on. We're going to announce it, and we're going to be trying to do some stuff too to help raise some money. And I think in the first 20 hours, something like that, they're going to be matching every dollar. So the goal is $1 million. And like I said, I know Bills Mafia, we're great for this. We can do it. So just stay tuned for that. We're going to announce it every show. But just going back to Cole Beasley.
Just one thing on that. I just wanted to say is like there's a lot of people who, get from their on the top of the ladder and scream what they want. This is a way to make a difference, in your community. Let's start helping from within. We can help each other from within. That's where you make the difference. It doesn't matter who's in office. Help each other. That's how things get done.
That's it. I mean, Bills Mafia, if any group has shown that time and time again, is Bills Mafia. It's a great cause, and I can't wait to see what happens. We promised Chris that if we get $1 million, if they raise $1 million, he got to come back on the show, and he's the charity foundation president for the Sabres. So he's going to come back on, and we're going to do something special. So let's do that. We announce every show. We got a couple weeks here. But hey, and I like to be in town for 716 day. I don't know where I'm going to be yet. I think I'm going to be with Discover 716. I know Dion Dog has an event that day as well, so we'll see what happens. But no, I mean, just final thoughts from Cole Beasley. What are your final thoughts on this situation, and what do you want to see happen here?
Well, I think it's funny. It reminds me of A Scent of a Woman, the Al Pacino movie, where whether it's right or wrong, the guy had integrity and really stood for how he felt. And I admire that for Cole Beasley, because he knew he was going to take shots for this, but it's what he believes. And, he's not completely wrong. That's for sure. Whether or not you agree with it or not, he has, it's a hill he's worth dying on. And I would just like the rest of, we can't control everyone on Twitter, but the rest of the Bills Mafia, I mean, this guy played on a broken leg for you.
Yeah.
I get it. That's his job, but literally he played on a broken leg. He cares about you. He cares about his job. He cares about his team. He's not being selfish. Just give him a break and give other fans a break. We're fighting each other for no reason.
And I'll tell you one thing, there's nobody's job in any industry, any business, to do anything on a broken leg. Nobody.
No.
Not even a stunt man. You break your leg, you're off. That's it, So, no, I guess my final thoughts is this. I don't want to see Cole Beasley retire. I love having Cole Beasley in Buffalo. I love what he brings to the team, determination, heart, that underdog feeling. Like, it's a lot of underdogs on this team, and he's one of them. He's accomplished a lot more than anybody ever thought he would playing the game of football. And I mean, he's probably accomplished more than anybody ever thought he would in the music industry as well. It'll be a devastating loss to not have him on this team this year. And in a year where we saw this team go 13-3, and it sucked because it was great, but it also sucked because there were no fans. We couldn't partake. Not like how we would have partaken. And we in Bills Mafia, we know how we do. We know how we get down. We know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We're everywhere. We couldn't do what we want to do and how we want to do it. It would be a shame to see this be a distraction to this team that is looking for their first Super Bowl win. Their first Super Bowl berth, I think, since 94, 95.
Yeah.
It'd be horrible to see a distraction like that. And but when you look at the way the NFL has wrote these protocols, they've pretty much told you if you're not vaccinated, you're an employee of us and you can't live your life at all. If he does,
you're
I can't.
Second-rate citizen.
Yeah, pretty much. You're under our control. And as I called it earlier, those protocols are the Berlin Wall if you're unvaccinated. Is it my job to say if it's fair or unfair? Not really. I can't blame them. You just lost millions, maybe billions of dollars last year. You can't do it again. I get it. Long term, you can't do it. It's going to cripple the league. I don't know what side I'm on. Actually, maybe I'm not even on the side. I'm just on the side of you do what you feel you got to do. I'm not going to judge you either way. So, to Cole,
well said.
Do what you got to do, man. Either way, I stand with you. Whether you want to be vaccinated or you don't, I stand with you, brother. I appreciate what you did bring to the Bills. If that, we may never see Cole Beasley play another down in Buffalo, and it's a scary thought. But hey, guys, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like and share the show. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Twitter. So please like and subscribe to YouTube. We're trying to get a boost on that. And make sure you get to ColdFrontReport.com and checking out all these great articles from guys like Greg Sports, Bully Boucher, Brandon Koch, EJ Daniels, Clayton Garrett. All these guys are releasing some great articles. John Sparacco. So make sure you're getting over there and following us. And as always, your team, your voice, your show. This is a show where we let you voice your opinion. No one is judged. And as always, thank you for supporting all of us here at the Cold Front Report. And guys, ladies, please be safe. July 4th is coming up. I don't know if we'll be on air again before July 4th, but if so, have a great July 4th. Please be safe. Please be careful and make the right decisions. We'll catch you later. Big season coming up. Big season coming up. Oh, and to my guy Travis.
Go
Great
Bills.
show, man. Great show. Great show.
Thank you, man. Great conversation.